Video, I am talking all about weight loss without dieting, how to lose weight, release weight, take care of yourself, make choices that support you, have your body get to a place where it feels safe to release weight without relying on strict, rigid eating protocols. So I believe this is day 12 of our series that has supported you through the holiday season. And now our series is focused on setting you up for a really, really powerful new year. So just want to say thank you in advance for joining this or watching this recording. It's been absolutely amazing to connect with you in this way. And if you are live, I'm sorry that we had some serious technical difficulties. My entire computer froze. I think it had too much space. I had to delete things, or too much stuff in storage. I had to delete things. Anyway, I got a new computer for Christmas. So once I get it set up, that shouldn't be happening anymore. But let's do this. All right. So we talked a little bit yesterday about the fork in the road moment, where you want to release weight or you want to heal your body, but you don't want to do it in a way that's strict. And you don't want to do it in a way that relies on control and willpower and fighting yourself. You want to work with yourself. So, we've talked a lot about making present moment choices in this series that honor your body and support you in feeling good. And I think it's also important to talk about, how do you make choices that support you in the moment, but also long term? And how do you come from a place in those choices that doesn't trigger survival mode? Because as a review, survival mode, restriction, dieting, that triggers more cravings, that triggers more overeating, that triggers more kind of feeling not satiated, losing control with food, all of this stuff, right? So I want to talk twofold today: how to make long-term supportive decisions that will support you in maintaining consistency and changing habits. And I also want to talk about some of the bigger factors I've seen that lead to weight loss. So one huge factor that I think is so important is, and I'm not talking about quick fix weight loss, get the 5 pounds off with cutting carbs and then gaining it back. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about long-term change. And where I've seen clients over and over again release weight in a way that, like, it's almost like their body surrendering, their body easing into it, their body feeling safe to do it, is through slowing down. And I don't mean slowing down like walking through the world just floating around and, all of that stuff. I mean bringing presence and connection to your meals, slowing down as you're making choices out of autopilot and out of pattern and in a way that's ultimately connected to you. Really focused on decreasing your stress response and getting to a place where your body is not in chronic fight or flight. And by no means do you have to be perfectly out of fight or flight all the time to lose weight. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, the more your body feels safe, the more your body feels emotionally regulated, the more your body feels supported with you taking care of your needs, the more you're taking care of your needs physically through food and mentally and emotionally by giving yourself space and time to work through, to kind of regulate, right, and center, the easier weight loss can happen, because weight loss is a release, right? Loss, release, letting go. Can you fight and clench your way through it? Of course, we've seen it work a million times. But if we're talking about lasting weight loss, we want to release. We want to set the body up to release. And I told this story a few times in this series, but I know some different people pop on at different times. And, it was very interesting in my journey with food freedom. I had to kind of shelf the weight loss, which many of our clients have done, right? You shelf the weight loss, meaning you don't forget about it. It's just back there on my little bookshelf. And you focus on healing your relationship with food, right? So that's the foundational piece. You focus on ending the binge eating and the emotional eating and the out of control eating, because without that, right, weight is always going to be a struggle. Then phase two is, on partnering and connecting with your body, making those present moment choices that ultimately support you, working through, the emotions, centering yourself, all these things, right? And it was interesting on my journey. The stopping binge eating did a little weight loss. Then I plateaued, is what they call it. And my body wasn't releasing weight for a while. And then through doing this stuff for a while, taking care of myself, it just started happening. And there were some other things going on and so forth, but it was almost, I felt to me like my body was like, oh, like she's got me. She's not going to starve me. She's not going to put me on a diet, right? She's going to let go. And everyone's journey is different, right? We have some clients that gain weight as they're going after food freedom, and then it balances out. We have some clients that start losing weight right away. We have some clients that their weight doesn't really budge and it's, kind of maintaining, and then eventually it starts to release. And we have some clients who realized, wow, the weight that I was fighting to get my body to for so long is actually not a supportive weight for my body. And, they start learning to feel comfortable with themselves at a weight that's not exactly what they wanted to be. And all of these different things are different parts of the journey. But what I will say is if you feel like you have weight on your body, specifically accumulated from eating in a way that's disconnected from your true self, binge eating, emotional eating, overeating, and so forth, if that feels like you, then I am all for you. You know, I'm all for it releasing. Like if you're in a body that doesn't feel like yours, and I'm not talking about a body that's got some cellulite on it and you got to get rid of it. That's not what I'm talking about. A body that feels out of alignment with what feels like is the true you, then I'm all for it. If you're after weight loss in like a way of, you got to get to kind of this point of being very real with yourself, right? I could be smaller than this. I could be leaner than this. I've been working out more and I'm doing different things, so that might happen, but I'm unwilling to do rigid protocols to get me there. And I have to accept that because of that, I am probably not going to be as lean as I was 6, 7 years ago when I was living on a diet, even though I was still binge eating. Oh, my cat's trying to get in again. Hi, kitty. She doesn't realize she could go through the other door. She just sits at my door and meows. So, we have to get real with what's possible, where our body is, what our desires are. But if your desire is landing kind of the supportive for you and your body category, then I say go for it. So let's talk about how to go for it without triggering all this stuff. Like I mentioned, we're talking about this is kind of for you if you're in phase 2 to 3, you're out of the compulsive binging, you are listening to and honoring your body, and you're kind of at that sticking point. So getting out of stress response is going to be something that really, really helps this, of course. But then there's also this idea of short-term versus long-term decisions. And when you're breaking free of binge eating and reconnecting back to yourself, as we started this series, present moment choices and what's going to support you in the moment is absolute key. It's like the total game changer, because instead of operating from a place of, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I'm going to dinner tonight, I'm going to eat a lot, or I ate a lot yesterday and I'm going to make up for my binge today, you're bringing it back to, I'm waking up this morning. How do I support myself this morning? Right? I'm waking up to, I'm feeling sluggish at lunch. How do I support myself with feeling more energy at lunch? All of these things can support with weight loss and so forth. Then once you have some freedom under your belt, you do have my permission to experiment with making some long and short-term decisions. So for those of you who have the Food Freedom Collection, or for those of you who are BBEB clients, if you go in your membership portal, I do an entire workshop on this. And it is called like how to make healthy choices, or how to like support your body without triggering survival mode. And this talks about those long and short-term decisions. But one thing that really supports me is coming from the place of, how high leverage is me having this? And I talked about this a little bit the other day, but I think it's really important in the weight loss conversation. So when you're just, getting out of survival mode, eating is high leverage all around. Like, eating, fueling yourself, feeling satisfied, high leverage that helps you not get into survival mode. But the biggest thing I see prevent weight loss once someone's out of that is continuing the hyper focus on staying out of survival mode versus staying into connected, supportive choices that honor you short and long term, mentally, emotionally, and physically, right? There's this focus when you're freeing yourself from binge eating, let's say in the Beating Binge Eating Blueprint, where you're focused mainly on getting out of survival mode and stopping binging. Then you get to take your focus off of that and focus on what is going to support me, my goals, my dream, my life. And you want to really pay attention at this stage of the game what's high leverage. So, for example, let me give an example of last night. What did I do last night? So, I had dinner that was pretty satisfying, but I felt like a little snacky after, which isn't that normal for me. And it was an early dinner, like a 5 or 6 p.m. dinner. And I am not against eating late if your body needs it, by the way. But what I don't like is like feeling ravenous the later the night goes on. Like, I don't want to feel ravenous at 8 o'clock at night and have to have a huge meal at 8, 9 at night. So I had to ask myself a question because I was feeling snacky. Since I just had a meal and I'm feeling satisfied, is it higher leverage to wait to have another meal later? Or is it higher, or is by me having a little like dessert or snack with this dinner, is that going to keep me satisfied for the rest of the night? And from a weight loss perspective or a feeling good perspective, having the food kind of earlier with my dinner would probably be more supportive, right? But I didn't want to come from that. I wanted to come from what is going to support me in being the healthiest, making the choices that are going to make me feel the best. And in that moment, it was actually the little ice cream bar that I had. I have this so delicious dairy-free ice cream bar. That's so good. Salted caramel is the best. I had that and I ended up not being hungry for the rest of the night. I felt satisfied early on and I actually went to bed without having eaten since like 6 p.m. And that's not normal for me. Normally I have something a little later. But that decision felt like a supportive choice that honored me in the moment, but also thought about the future. Also kind of tapped into, hey, if I don't have this now, am I going to actually end up eating more this evening? Right. So that was a present moment choice, but also a supportive choice for my future. So, other ways I make supportive decisions for my future is really focused on what my priorities are, right? My priorities are feeling good. My priorities are being here for my family. My priorities are being here for you all. My priority is being clear. So I write a lot, I create a lot. If I am not clear, I'm just going to be like manufacturing and regurgitating things from books and, just nothing's going to be coming through me, right? I do believe that we get messages that come through us. And if I'm all icky and bloated and inflamed and my brain is foggy, I'm not going to be clear to show up for you, to show up for our writing that impacts and changes lives. Maybe you're not writing like me. Maybe you have a family. Maybe you have work that you love. Maybe you're just wanting to feel clear to connect with yourself, whatever that is. But to me, that is a priority. So you have to get very, very present to your values and what's important to you. And you have to get real with yourself on how are these choices affecting these things that are important to me. And there's core human drivers that drive us as human beings. Survival and enjoyment of life is one of them. Protecting and honoring our family is another one. Security, safety is another one. Love, connection, belonging is another one, right? So tap into Katie wants some security and safety right now. She's screaming outside the door. But tap into those core needs you have as a human and check what's your value system? What's your identity? What drives you? Feeling good and showing up drives me. Being a clear vessel for life drives me. So that is a huge value of mine. And it's not that that is more important than food. It's that where I'm fighting my urge for food, that's not it. I have built the identity that I am a person that makes choices to support me in my value system, right? So is your value system being an amazing mother, being an amazing example to your children? Is your value system rocking it at work? Is your identity making choices that support your well being? How can we step more into that identity so our choices aren't forced? They become a part of who we are, they become a natural extension of who we are. So, I was at the brunch table the other day, and I probably told versions of these stories, but it was pancakes or a salad. Like there was nothing between on this menu. Maybe I could have gotten like bacon and scrambled eggs, but I just didn't feel like either of those. So I was like, I'm doing like the sweet thing, or there's no lunch on this menu beside a salad. What do I do? And in that moment, I actually wanted to just chill and eat some pancakes, but I had bigger priorities this week and that day. And I knew that the salad would at least help me have the lunch experience with everyone. And then I could go home at some point in the day when I was hungry again and eat something more satiating. And that's not how I always make my choices, but that was a choice that supported me and the energy that I needed that day moving forward. And to me, that is not restrictive. That is the reality of the situation. Pancakes affect me differently than a salad does. And by the way, it doesn't always have to be pancakes or a salad. There's a lot of middle stuff, like a stir fry, like a more balanced meal, like a bowl, right? I'm not saying you got to choose a salad. That's not what I'm saying. But, it's important to come from these places. So, another example would be, and if you guys are my clients, I make this example all the time. Another example would be, let's say you want to release weight. Let's say you want to feel good. Let's say your value system is two things. You want to enjoy time with your family and friends and live life, but you also have this value system of being vibrant and healthy and making choices that support that. And let's say you're at a Mexican restaurant and the old you used to operate of like, I'm getting a Mexican salad or I am eating all the chips and queso and the tacos and having a margarita. There's like no in between. This used to be me, right? I'm either on a diet or I'm like off. What about the version of you that gets to do it all? What about the version of you that my go to order at Mexican restaurants is fajitas? I can have a fajita in a shell, corn, flour, whatever you want to do. I can then eat. Usually it comes with rice on the side. I can then have some of the peppers and the steak and the onions and the fajita taste with a couple chips at the table, with the rice, with lettuce, and make a little bowl. And I'm not just doing a disconnected choice of eating all the tacos, right? It's a choice that supports me in the short term, which is I get to experience life with my family. That's a value system of mine with my friends. I want to live and have fun. I want food to be a part of it. I don't want it to be something that holds me back. And I get to take care of my health. I get to support how I feel in the moment. And I also get to support how I feel long term. So these choices are could trigger survival mode when you're still in the binge phase, right? So I want you to be careful not to do that. But these are the types of conversations you get to have with yourself and where your choices get to come from as time goes on. And there are going to be times in the moment where you have to learn to decipher between the self sabotage, what you want in the moment, and the self honoring, what you want in the moment, right? And sometimes the choices look similar. So it's hard for me to give you the exact way to tell the two, right? But the way I tell the two is through the centering, through the coming home to myself to make the decision. So, okay, let me give you an example because I feel like an example will be really helpful. What's a good example with this? Last night, I feel like okay, this would be an example of something I did last night. I feel like I was tricking myself to thinking I was making this like connected choice. And no, I was just avoiding what I needed to do. So I made a commitment to read 10 pages a day. And I had a busy day yesterday where I was supporting other people, which I love. But I feel like I'm more introverted than I think. So a lot of times when I'm like around people, around noise, supporting others, I need a little chill out time, even just like 20 minutes to kind of switch gears and, drop into myself. And I made this commitment to read 10 pages a day every day. And I love it because it's funny. Once you read the 10 pages, normally you read more and you get like the momentum going, right? So I just wanted to start that momentum. And um long story short, I had some downtime. I wanted to chill. It's hot in here. I'm like sweating. I wanted to chill and I decided I was like, "Oh, I need to like decompress and chill. Then I'll read my 10 pages tonight." And what I did was I scrolled social media, I sat on the couch, I barely took any alone time, and when I did, I was on social media scrolling. And looking back at that decision, I was like, that wasn't a connected decision. That was an avoidance decision. And sometimes you do just need to chill out. But that was a decision that was a very like, I was coming from a pattern versus a place of connection. And that is a huge deciding factor in not self-sabotaging, in making choices that support weight loss, in making choices that support you? Are you coming from a pattern? Are you coming from avoiding something emotionally? Are you coming from avoiding something that you feel like you need to do that's good for you? Are you coming from an old way of operating, or are you coming from a connected place? So a connected version of last night would have been slowing down, taking a breath, acknowledging I am overwhelmed and overstimulated. I'm not going to read right now. That's fine. I'm going to read before the end of the night, but I need to like recenter and do something supportive for myself before I just go into like numb out mode. Then I would do the supportive choice. If I then wanted to do social media or whatever that was, I could. If I wanted to read, whatever, as long as I got it done, cool. But it was not an auto, like numbing out scrolling was an autopilot decision. It was, even though I like tricked my brain that it's what I needed. No, I just went into a pattern of like overwhelm, overstimulation. Let me numb my brain. Anyone ever do that? That's yeah. And yeah, so that's the difference. So the action could look the same because really I, took the alone time, then I scrolled. But the action could look very similar. It's just the energy you choose it from, right? So my little assignment and reflection for you today is a few things if you're struggling in the weight department. Where are you making choices based on just getting out of survival mode and not binging versus what's going to actually support you most short and long term, right? Because I think when we're in the trenches of binge eating freedom, we are basically getting out of survival mode's our main thing. But if we stay in the trenches of that, then we end up eating more and we're almost eating in a little disconnected manner because we're not disconnected to ourselves. So check on that. See if there's any of that going on in your world. Another thing I'd love to encourage you to do is asking yourself, am I coming from a place of pattern or a place of connection that's going to support me now and in the future? Is this a decision from pattern or connection? How can I make a choice that's going to support me now and in the future? And if you feel like not having the thing you want, like the pancakes at brunch example, or like the appetizer with your friends or whatever, if you feel like that's going to lead to a binge and it's a very high leverage thing for you to do, enjoy it. If you feel like it's not that high leverage and you're just going after it because it's on the table and autopilot, experiment with having something different. Experiment with something that supports you more long term. And you're the authority on you. So often we operate in like black and white paradigms with dieting. I'm either gonna eat to get out of survival mode or I'm gonna eat healthy, right? No, it's like I'm gonna experiment with things. That doesn't feel like a high leverage choice. I'm gonna choose something else. And if survival mode comes back a little, I can make the adjustment, right? You're the authority on you. And if you've been our client, especially if you were with us through BBEB when we had the coaching and the support, right? You know how to do this stuff. You know how to spot survival mode. And survival mode does not mean that you're relapsing or anything. Survival mode just means you got to make some adjustments to make sure you're out of that state, right? And so experiment with this. Experiment with food quantities, experiment with food types. So for me, food types is a little more triggering, so to like food type restriction is a little more triggering to me than experimenting with quantity. So like if I was to cut out carbs, that would be way more survival mode pushing than if I was to slow down at the plate, eat my carbs a little later in the meal and like through these techniques just end up eating a little less, right? That wouldn't be triggering to me at all. To me, I would be focused on, having my veggies, having my protein, starting my carbs, seeing how I feel, probably finishing with a little more on my plate than normal. That wouldn't trigger me. Saying I'm not going to have carbs and I'm just going to load up on this, that would trigger me, right? So maybe food types is not triggering for you, right? Maybe you can do, let's say you're eating Doritos and you switch to a really clean, healthy chip. Maybe that is not triggering to you. But for some people, maybe it's less triggering to just eat, a serving of Doritos instead of two, right? And experiment with that. So you get to experiment for yourself what's ultimately going to work. And you get to experiment for your life. One thing I will say is I'm not against nighttime eating at all. But if you're eating a large amount of your calories at night, move them earlier. And not because don't restrict at night, but add more to your earlier meals so you're more satiated as you go into the evening. Unless you're a nighttime working out person, then you need to eat to support you through your workouts. But if your large amount of your activity is during the day, you need more food around your large amount of activity. This doesn't mean that you got to do a 7 p.m. dinner cutoff. It's not what I'm saying. But we have to be real with the way fuel affects our bodies. We have to be real with the way food affects our bodies. And we have to find that middle ground of how do I honor and fuel my body? How do I be realistic about the impacts of what I eat on my body and on my weight and on my life and how I feel? And then how do I also make sure I'm not doing this in a way that's so restrictive that it triggers survival mode? So I hope this supported you and helped you. As mentioned in our previous lives, well, as mentioned in this live today, if any of you haven't gotten the Food Freedom Collection, message me. I'll send you a link to that. It's right now is kind of the last time it's going to be bundled in the way that it is with all the things in it at such a low investment. And then for those of you who either are past clients or wanting some more intimate support, message me. So I'm still in the works of putting together a I don't even want to call it a package, a journey, an experience, a very intimate experience that will probably go over the course of about 3 to 4 months with a small handful of students. And really, I will be walking you through this stuff on a deeper level than even food and weight, right? We're going to go into patterns and we're going to go into habits and we're going to go how to build supportive habits that are super easy to do, where ease with food is a part of who you are. Honoring your body is a part of who you are. Honoring yourself with many moments of self-care and coming from this place of connection is just a part of who you are. It's not something where you feel exhausted by it. Like, oh God, I got to go do this thing. Like, how do we work with your life in a realistic way and put structures and support in place so you can thrive through food, through body, through life, through emotions, through it all. So I'm really, really excited to be doing this. And I will be announcing it on Monday, right after the new year. So we'll be announcing on Monday after the new year. So on that note, not seeing any questions come through. Anyone have any questions around anything that we're talking about? If you are interested in that intimate journey and experience with me from a coaching front with a small group of women, please message me. I'd love to just see who's interested and, chat with you all and see if it's a good fit and all of that. Let's see. Anyone have any questions? This might be loud. Sorry. Sorry on Facebook for the wobbly thing. I built a stand-up desk last night, so every time I touch it, my camera wobbles. So I'm gonna have to learn how to talk with my hands without leaning on my desk. Not seeing any questions. Let's see. All right, no questions today. Cool. I'll be on at 10 tomorrow, talking about maintaining food freedom forever, anti-self-sabotage stuff, breaking through breaking through all the things that come up and get us, right? Beyond food and weight, literally how to make lasting change. My next 2 lives are going to be on. That'll be tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then I'm going to do Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific. And Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, I'll be announcing what's next for us and doing a formal invite to this small group. Donna Cohen, can you message me like a private message? That way I can reach out to you personally on Monday and we can see if everything feels like a good fit. Lavina says, thank you. This is really helpful. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I just had a hiccup. Yay. I'm so glad it was helpful, Lavina. And Regina says, I'm definitely carb driven and I like the way you approach your meal with eating veggies, protein, then carbs. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a rule, Regina. But the thing with carbs is they're not bad, but they do spike the blood sugar. And so eating meat and veggies first, even doing a few veggies first. So basically bitter stuff gets your digestive juices flowing. So let's say you even just like ate a few pieces of spinach, spring mix, your veggies, gets your digestive juices flowing. And then, a little protein, little carbs. You don't have to wait to like complete your protein and veggies at your before you eat carbs at all. This isn't a rule, but it just helps. It helps stunt the blood sugar bump. So fat, protein, veggies, all those things help stunt the big blood sugar bump that can lead to insulin stuff. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of the scientific process there, but it can lead to more fat storage. It can lead to depleted energy. So when we just have a carb, our blood sugar shoots up, insulin comes in, all kinds of stuff happens, and then we can crash, right? This doesn't make carbs bad. We just need to put other things in to support the carbs and kind of burning in our body a little slower. And if you have some of these other things first, sometimes it will naturally eat less carbs. It'll slow down the blood sugar bump and all of that. Um, let's see. I tend to binge eat on chocolate and junk, need to stop, and then I get a big belly. Oh, that can be tough, right? Um have you done our Food Freedom Collection? So Food Freedom Collection has a program in it called Beating Binge Eating that will walk you right out of this struggle. And it's honestly wildly affordable. It's probably the cost of like 2 to 3 of my binges back in the day. We used to charge anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 for it, and now I believe it's at $129, and it won't be forever. And then when you get the collection, you get the Beating Binge Eating Blueprint plus a ton of resources. So like coaching calls and all kinds of things I've done to support our clients over the last 6 years. So check that out because that'll be there. And then if you go on my Instagram page too, towards this beginning of this series, like day 1 to where I'm talking about overeating, cravings, that kind of thing, those will be really, really helpful lessons for you there too. If you're wanting more like tangible support on, you know, all things craving and binging. Wonderful. You're welcome, Gina. So good to be on here. Thanks, Regina, Donna, for being here, Lavina, Mandy. Really, really good to see you all. And I will be on at 10 a.m. tomorrow, talking all things working through self-sabotage. All right. See you later.